Going to call the Honourable Member Catherine Delahunty.
Thank you very much, Mr Chair, and this will no doubt be my fourth call. I want to bring the issue back to the silent heart of the issue. A group of people who sometimes have been ignored in the whole debate, and we're now on to part 4. And so I'd like to quote from a young man who wrote to me during this long and painful saga over not just today, but over the last 17 to 18 years. And he said, he sent me his picture, and he said he's an adolescent living at home with his parents because that's where he wants to be, and he has multiple disabilities. I love being at home, and this is where I want to live. If my parents cannot look after me because they do not receive the appropriate support, it is pretty obvious that I would have to live at the X centre, and I'm not naming it, and have no future. I don't want to live there. I am so happy at home with my parents and helpers and my friends visiting me. It is not acceptable to living at that centre. But I want to be independent. I enjoy music and acting and recording my own music. I want to get married and be a dad. If I continue to accept that things take time, I will have a lot of success in my life. And he's a young man whose parents are really struggling because they cannot be paid, and we are not at all sure that the bill will allow them because they weren't part of the original case, and they have had great difficulty getting the Ministry of Health to recognise their issues. And so the fact that he's in the group of highest need, he isn't necessarily going to get accepted. And so that's why he wrote to me, because he wanted me to have this piece of paper when I went to work on this issue. He asked me to keep working on the issue for him, because for him, being put into respite care or into care to give his parents who are exhausted and broke a break means being with elderly people. And he's a teenager. He was 14 when he first started writing to me. And so I don't know what active imagination it might take, but it's not very good for him to be there. It is not very good. I personally spent quite a lot of time in elder care homes with my mother who had dementia, and it's certainly a challenge, but it's certainly worse, I think, if you were young and had nowhere else to be, because you're at such a different stage of life. But the only way this young man's parents, who are not able to be paid and are constantly in battles over the 24-hour care package, whereby his mother has to teach all the carers how to care for him appropriately, they don't get respite because they don't want him to go through this. So I'm bringing this man into the room, this young man, because he should have a future as a citizen under this bill, and I don't think this bill gives him and many others sufficient future. And you can say 92 million as many times as you like, but when you're talking about over 4 years, that breaks down to 23, and then when you're talking about 1,600 families, that breaks down to 1,400 or less thousands per household who might actually benefit from this. And again, what kind of active imagination does it take to think what it might be like to be living on that? Because when you read the frequently asked questions associated with this bill, bits that aren't in black, they haven't been blacked out, there are questions about it may affect people's benefit if they actually get any financial help through this bill. So we're getting text and email messages today from a lot of worried people. Now, one that came was, if you still haven't got to third reading, can't we stop the royal assent? Can't we stop this? This is what people on Facebook are talking about this afternoon. They are saying, please, Parliament, while you've got a chance, stop it now. And so it's interesting, because I don't think that the government may have anticipated this bill would cause this kind of furore. After all, it's just a group of marginalised people who fought 20 years and have been successfully blocked for 20 years. But they won in court, and they forced the government to do something. And now a lot of people around the country are saying, can't we stop this because it's not right? We want something better for everybody. It is a very interesting issue when you receive messages from other people who work, for example, with people on the Asperger's and autism. And they are thinking, listening to this, that there may well be a risk to their relationship with the Human Rights Commission. They are worried, after what's been done to the family carers in terms of inability to be complained being legislated for, who else is next? Who else is going to be blocked? Who else is going to be told by the Minister of Health or anybody else that they can't complain? Is this a new trend? Is this going to threaten people who are the most vulnerable in their ability to go to the Human Rights Commission? Because if you look at 70A and move right through from 70A through to 70E, we have some very, very serious issues around this. So looking at 70A to E in Part 4, just want to point out that the first sentence says the purpose of this part is to keep the funding of support services provided to family members within sustainable limits. Sustainable to who, Mr Chair? Mr Chair. Sister, I won't take a full call, but I do want to finish my sentence. Sustainable to whom? Sustainable to the health budget, but not sustainable if you're the people on the receiving end. And when you've got a problem like that, when we've got a problem like that, I'm sorry, Mr Chair, that's when we start a real negotiation with the people affected. That's when we don't do what we've done up till now. And that's why the Green Party in our third reading speech will be talking about alternative solutions to this punitive and miserable and mean-spirited approach, which should be illegal because it's highly discriminatory. Thank you, Mr Chair.
Sue Moroney.
Thank you, Mr Chair. Mr Chair, this is the part of the bill